Hello and welcome to the bottom of the ocean. Can you please help me? Somebody took all my things. Hi everybody, my name's King Noosme. Are You Afraid of the Dark is one of the most iconic horror shows of all time. The show lasted from 1992 all the way to 2000 with 7 seasons and 92 episodes in total. The show follows a group of kids that call themselves the Midnight Society, and they take turns telling scary stories around a campfire, and we watch the stories that they tell. Throughout the years, some kids would get rotated out to keep things fresh and new for the show, and they even revived the show in 2019 to some pretty high praise, and that show now has 3 seasons but no news on a 4th season just yet. I really need to get around to making videos about those seasons. Today we're going to be taking a look at the episode The Tale of the Water Demons. It's the 3rd episode of the 4th season, and it's actually a pretty scary episode with some pretty spooky monsters and a good message for kids. It was directed by Ron Oliver, who is pretty popular around the 90s kid horror circles. He's directed many Goosebumps episodes and a lot of really good Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes. For example, The Tale of the Renegade Virus and The Tale of the Ghastly Grinner. And those are just the ones from season 4. And this episode was written by Scott Peters, who wrote 5 other episodes for Are You Afraid of the Dark. So this episode had 2 really good visionaries working on it together. And I'm excited to talk about it, and I've already talked enough, so let's quit yapping and get into the episode. The episode starts with the Midnight Society, of course, as Frank walks up to the meeting area and finds that the fire is lit and everybody's stuff is there, but no one is there. He finds a bag that has Sam's diary in it, and it's no secret that Frank has a crush on Sam, so he decides to just take an innocent little peek at her diary, where he finds a page about how much she likes Frank, but she doesn't want anyone to know. But just when things were getting good, he hears some rustling in the woods behind him, and when he turns around, he is face to face with Sam. But don't worry, Frank knows how to keep it cool.
Hi, Sam.
Okay, maybe he can't keep it cool. What was that, man? Now that Frank knows that she likes him, he goes in hard on hitting on her and just exposes it to everyone immediately that she likes him because he read her diary. But there's just one small issue with that.
This isn't my diary.
Ooh, that really sucks. Turns out Tucker was pulling a little prank on Frank as an example for his story he's gonna tell today. And as everyone gets comfortable around the fire, Tucker says, you shouldn't mess with other people's stuff, no matter how much you're tempted. You might get hurt if they're alive, but especially if they're dead.
Don't mess with the dead. And no matter what you do, don't mess with their stuff.
Now throw the probably toxic chemicals into the fire and let's begin. We start this segment by meeting our 2 main characters, Shawn and Dean. They're cousins and Shawn is visiting them for the summer, but he's not having such a good time.
58 days left, most boring summer in history.
Shawn hates that there's not a lot of kids, or girls, in the area and there really isn't anything to do. He's so bored that he just rips open some candy and starts munching on it, which pisses Dean off because it's his parents' store and he's stealing, and he's also shit-talking his hometown, but I'm confused that the lights are off in the store. How will the customers see what they're trying to grab? I feel like we should answer my question first because I'm scared right now. Dean tells Shawn that there is no freebies in the store even for him, and he needs to cough up 65 cents. But before Shawn can even grab some money, he gets a phone call. And while Dean is distracted with that, Shawn sneakily steals more candy bars, opens up the cash register, pulls out a handful of coins, and then pretends like he never even moved, so that when his cousin comes back, he could literally cough up the money. All right, I have to say, I don't like this kid already, but pretty good joke. I know a good joke when I see one. That one was pretty good. We do learn that Shawn has been getting into a lot of trouble at home with his mom, so as punishment, she sent him over to hang out with his cousin for the summer in hopes that his uncle could straighten him out a little bit by making him work and disciplining him. So far, it looks like it's going well. Dean comes back from the phone call and looks a bit anxious. He tells Shawn that they have to make a delivery to a creepy old place they call the Westchester House. A rich guy named Captain Abraham Westchester lives there, and he got rich off of selling salvaged items from shipwrecks. But now he's a very weird guy and a recluse that never leaves his house. He orders a lot from them, and Dean hates delivering to him. But Shawn thinks that they will get a big tip if they do it sooner because he's rich. But it's already getting late, so Dean decides that maybe they should wait to deliver it tomorrow. But Shawn wants that good tip, and he basically just tells Dean that they're going to do it right now.
Every second we waste, our tip shrinks.
Every second I spend with you, my brain shrinks.
Then we cut to the boys outside of the creepy old foggy house. But before we do that, let's take a break to talk about the actors real quick. Dean is played by Charlie Hoffheimer, and he's been on this channel before in the episode The Tale of the Unexpected Visitors as Jeff. And Shawn is played by Tony Sampson, and sadly he's not in another episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, but he is most famous for being the voice of Eddie in Ed, Edd n Eddy. Kinda looks like Eddie to me. and I don't know why. The guys head up to the house and find a map pinned to the front door. All the old man wants them to do is use this map to put his coffee in the pantry and then leave. Easy enough, right? I'm sure they won't mess this up in any way. Sadly, Captain Westchester forgot to unlock the door, but that won't stop Shawn from getting his massive tip. So they decide to just try the back door, which renders their little map useless. Kind of sad. Luckily for them, the back door is open for some reason. And on the way to the kitchen, Shawn spots a couple of small displays of treasure that he has found on the ships. And bro wastes no time in opening one up and trying to pocket a watch that he thinks is solid gold. This dude is literally a kleptomaniac. He cannot keep his hands to himself. He's already stolen 5 things since he's been on screen. Luckily, Dean stops him before he does take anything, and he tells him that he doesn't want to die by some old crazy sea captain because they're touching his stuff, which I have to say, it's pretty valid. You think he'd kill them with like a blunderbuss or like a cutlass or something, like an old pirate? I think it'd be kind of funny if he killed them with like a comically large gun and then it did like the Looney Tunes like black powder thing on them. They should have added that in the episode. Dean is obviously incredibly nervous and spooked by the house. So he quickly puts the coffee down in the pantry and then he realizes Shawn is gone. He panics for a second. He starts calling out to Shawn, but he doesn't get an answer.
Shawn?
I should have known he was trying to scare him. It's a little obvious. This pisses Dean off so much, so the both of them have a bit of a shoving match until Shawn shoves Dean into a secret room where a very panicked Captain Westchester begs for them to not hurt him. Like, he literally cowers in fear until Dean explains that they were just there to deliver some coffee.
I must look like an old fool.
You?
What was that? You? Nah. What the hell? The captain apologizes for his strange behavior. He hasn't gotten a lot of sleep in many years.
I don't think I've had more than a cat nap for the last 3 years.
Oh my God, how is he alive? They stick around and talk to the old guy for a second, and they ask him what he usually takes from the shipwrecks. He tells them that he doesn't do it anymore, but he used to take anything that looked valuable. Any kind of gold, rings, clocks, watches, just whatever. Which Shawn thinks is cool, but the captain doesn't think so. He then tries to scare Shawn by talking about taking rings off of bony fingers or taking necklaces off of rotting skulls. The captain says that he's been cursed for taking all these things from the shipwrecks, and that's why he can't sleep anymore. Because if he does fall asleep, these water demons come out of the water and hunt him down. So move. You live near an ocean where water demons can get you. Why not just move to a desert where there isn't water or an ocean, and then they can't get you, and you can at least get some sleep? He says that he is constantly hunted down by the spirits who are angry with him, and they look for what he has taken from them. But they want to take him to the water and drown him as payment for their valuables. Honestly, it's a very sad existence. I don't know if I would even last this long trying to survive. I mean, if I were him, I would just like, it's not worth it. The boys find an opportunity to escape the conversation, and on their way out, they talk about how weird that experience was.
Yeah, really, we didn't even get a tip.
Listen, I don't even know if you want a tip from him, man. What if he got his money from one of the shipwrecks, and then you start being hunted down by the demons as well? I mean, you should be glad Dean stopped you from taking the things earlier, because that could have been bad. He didn't take anything, right? Oh, come on! Next, we cut back to the captain, who is slowly dozing off. And as he does that, a mysterious fog covers the water and the yard, and multiple zombie-like demons quickly climb out of the water for the old man. Luckily, he wakes up before they can get too close to him. And before we move on, Captain Abraham Westchester is played by Griffith Brewer. He was kind of the guy that they would call if they needed an old guy in Are You Afraid of the Dark. He's in 3 other episodes: The Captured Souls as Old Peter, The Phone Police as the company manager, and The Forever Game as Old Nathaniel. Notice how 2 of the 4 names have the word old in them. Next, we cut back to Dean and Shawn back at Dean's house, where Dean's dad comes in and tells them that it's time to get some sleep. But Shawn isn't tired, and he thinks it's too early to go to bed. So Mr. Wilson rebuttals with, "You're under my roof, you go by my rules." So Shawn decides that he's not gonna sleep under his roof anymore and walks out the door. Wow, what an asshole, am I right? Shawn walks all the way back to Captain Westchester's house and decides to sleep on his hammock outside, which is trespassing, right? Well, it's not like the captain ever leaves his house anyways. It's a very unfortunate time for Shawn to try and sleep there because it looks like Captain Westchester just can't stay awake any longer. Oh God, I hope he's not dead. Just like before, an unsettling fog covers the water and the yard that Shawn is currently sleeping in. And if he doesn't wake up, he might not live to see the next day. Luckily for Shawn, Dean is a good cousin and he goes out looking to make sure he's okay. I don't know if I'd do that for him. I think bro's annoying. Shawn is awakened by something dripping on his forehead, and when he opens his eyes, he sees multiple slimy, horrifying people surrounding him. Luckily for Shawn, these demons have reflexes slower than his brain, working at max capacity, and he finds a moment to escape, where he runs into a nearby tool shed, with the demons following closely behind him. He tries to hide under a table, but the fog is quickly filling the room, and in no time, the demons reach out for him, calling him a grave robber and telling him to come with them to the water. Shawn finds an air horn of all things and blares it at the demons, which doesn't scare them away, but it does alert Dean. Dean busts in the door and finds his cousin cornered by these horrifying ghosts. And he doesn't know what to do, so he doesn't do anything. Luckily, his constant blaring of the air horn wakes up the captain and the demons disappear. Okay, calm down, big baby. It's only demons, all right? No big deal. The captain finds the boys outside and sees that Shawn has been attacked, so he lets them inside and explains everything to them. There was a yacht that crashed near his home 30 years ago, and of course he got rich off of taking things from shipwrecks, so he went out and took whatever he could. But shortly thereafter, the demons would come for him from that ship. And he used to be a little bit more ballsy with his sleeping schedule. He would set a timer for just long enough for them to get to his door, and then he would wake up, which would make them disappear back into the water. Finally, after many nights of doing this, he was fed up, so he threw everything that he took from them back into the ocean. But the demons kept coming for him. He then reveals to the boys that he did trade off some of the gold that he found in that yacht for other treasures, so technically he didn't give it all back. Dean tells him that maybe if he tracks down all the pieces that he took from them, they'll stop. But he's already tried that and it didn't work out. He says it was too difficult to track down every single piece. But Dean then has a pretty crazy theory, but it might be just crazy enough to work. He says that maybe if he throws everything he traded for it, then it would even out and they would leave him alone.
Dean, he's not gonna throw all his stuff in the water. I mean, he's loony, not stupid.
Shush, thief. After a moment of thought, the captain agrees with Dean. It's at least worth a try. And of course, Shawn doesn't want to help, so he tries to leave, but Captain Westchester doesn't let him. He needs help loading everything into his dinghy. Dinghy. So he can drop off all the stuff at the shipwreck tonight. He wants it to stop now. Shawn still isn't down to help them until the captain reminds him.
Remember, my friend, they're after you too.
Which convinces him to help out, of course. They all load up this tiny boat with as much stuff as they can, and as they do that, Shawn accidentally knocks the captain out and hits Dean's glasses into the water. Yeah, great going, evil Aaron Hansen. And then he tries to leave the knocked out captain on the dock. This kid has no sympathy for others. It's crazy. I've never seen an Are You Afraid of the Dark kid so evil. Luckily, Dean does have some sympathy for people, and he decides to stay there with the captain as Shawn takes all the stuff out to the wreck. Dean would do it himself, but just like Velma, he can't see without his glasses.
I can't see a thing without my glasses. I'd never make it.
I honestly love that trope in old TV shows. They make it seem like when I take my glasses off, it's just pitch black. I can't see a damn thing or something. Okay, gotta clean my glasses. Wow. Wow, I really am blind. Of course, Shawn doesn't want to go out to the wreck by himself, and he argues with Dean about it. But then Dean hits him with a harsh truth.
Why don't you just do the right thing for once in your life?
He's kind of right, man. He's kind of right. So he hops in the dinghy, and heads out to the wreck. When he gets there, he quickly shovels everything into the water as fast as he can, all while Dean has trouble keeping the captain awake. And sadly for Shawn, Dean fails, and the demons reach over the boat and start grabbing at him, trying to bring him down to the bottom of the lake. They all struggle together as Shawn reaches for the last thing in the boat and quickly tosses it into the water, making the demons disappear. Relieved, he sits back in the boat and laughs like a maniac. That's like me when I tell a banger dad joke and nobody laughs at it. Shawn makes it back to the dock safely and he finds the captain sleeping soundly. Dean says that they need to quickly take him to the doctor, but first he has to try and find his glasses. So he kneels down near the water and... When I tell you it's been a while since a kid's show jump scare actually got me, it's been since like Lily D in the bedroom. And for some reason, this demon jumping out of the water scared the crap out of me. Why? Anyways, Dean gets yanked into the water and all Shawn can do is yell for some reason. He yells about how unfair it is that they're taking him. Dean hasn't done anything but help in the situation. And as he's yelling at the demons, he remembers that he stole a watch earlier. He yells at them that he's very sorry for taking it and that the captain is also very sorry for taking it. And then he drops the watch into the water and almost instantly, Dean jumps out of the water. And not only that, but the captain wakes up as well. They tell the old man that Shawn took everything back and saved them, and that their plan actually worked. And as a thank you for returning everything, the demons return Dean's glasses. I mean, I guess if they kept his glasses, they're actually no better than Shawn and the captain. So, the next day, Dean and Shawn are back in the store working, when Mr. Wilson finds a note that reads, "Please accept this payment of $4.90 for 5 candy bars and a pack of gum." So it looks like Shawn learned his lesson about stealing, and hopefully never does it again. Then we fade back into the Midnight Society, where they end the meeting off and douse the fire. But as they leave, Tucker accidentally leaves his bag behind. His brother Gary finds it and takes a look inside to find that Tucker has actually stolen a bunch of his stuff. And inside his magic book, Tucker left a note thanking Gary for letting him borrow his stuff, even though he didn't ask first. This is the same kid that just told a story about the consequences of stealing, right? But his note does end with,
P.S. What are you doing in my naps? Didn't you get anything out of my story, Tucker?
oh my lord, it's another prank. How does this guy's pranks always work out for him? Can he like see into the future or something? Is he like that so Raven? And that's the end of the episode. And before we start the review section, I want to point out that you can see that Gary pulls out some crazy looking glasses. Fans of the show will instantly recognize these as the super specs from the 6th episode of season 1. What an actually pretty good episode of the show. I don't know if anybody else gets this feeling, but I kind of feel like it's a mixture of Nightmare on Elm Street and The Fog, because the demons only come out whenever he's sleeping, and every time they do come out, a really dense fog just sweeps over everything. And I think the combination of those two really helped nail the creepy vibes in the episode. And on top of that, the water demons actually look kind of good to me. They're spooky, but not too scary, and honestly, they kind of look like they're zombies from Night of the Living Dead, but I actually really like it. I think it's a really simple and good design. And the green stuff that they have covering their bodies and that they track around and leave on Shawn's clothes, it kind of looks like algae to me, and I kind of like that detail. It makes it feel like they've been laying at the bottom of the ocean for a long time, so long that things are starting to grow on them. Just little stuff like that that helps like elevate these episodes a little bit. I do think they're a little stupid, of course. They're like really slow and dumb. They're more zombie-like than demon-like, which I kind of don't like. So, but honestly, the Tale of the Water zombies doesn't hit as hard as the Tale of the Water demons. So, I'll give him some slack there. And I do want to talk about how great of a job Griffith Brewer did as Captain Westchester. He really gave this episode his all and did a really good job. If it weren't for his like over-the-top paranoid acting, I don't think this episode would have been as fun or interesting. I mean, let's be honest, the other two really weren't that interesting if you're thinking about it. I will say that Shawn is like cartoonishly annoying. It almost deterred me from watching this episode. Like, I genuinely think he's like in the top 5 most annoying characters in All You Afraid of the Dark. Maybe top 3. Behind Sam and Josh. Like, he steals so much stuff, he doesn't want to help out ever, unless it affects him personally in some way. And he even knocked out the captain and then tried to run away. What's up with this kid? Luckily, he did learn his lesson by the end, which actually gave it a pretty satisfying ending to the segment. But oh my god, I couldn't stand him on the way there. So yeah, I really like this episode. I think it sets everything up pretty well. It has some really intense moments in there. It has a good lesson and story. It has everything you want out of an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. Of course, there are some downsides to it that come from low-budget shows, like the acting and the makeup, but I don't think this ruins the episode at all. Let me know what you think about this episode in the comments below. I have a Patreon. The $5 members get bonus content plus videos a day early, maybe some pictures of my cats, a Discord server, and your name right here on screen. And YouTube members are lumped in with them as well. Like the video if you like the video. Thank you for watching the video all the way through. I appreciate you all, and peace.